Welcome to my channel. Value quarter dollar. The coin you're referring to, Elizabeth II D.G Regina 5 cents, 1974 Canada, is a standard Canadian nickel issued during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who appears on the obverse front of the coin. The Latin inscription, Elizabeth II D.G Regina, stands for Elizabeth II Dei Gratia Regina, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, reflecting the traditional royal title used on Commonwealth coinage. The portrait used on the 1974 Canadian 5-cent coin was designed by Arnold Machin, whose effigy of the Queen was introduced in 1965 and remained in use on Canadian coins until 1989. On this coin, Elizabeth II is shown as a young monarch wearing a simple tiara, facing right, with a clean and elegant profile that became one of the most recognized coin portraits of the 20th century. The reverse back of the coin features the iconic beaver design, created by G. E. Kruger Gray, which has been a symbol of Canadian identity since it was first introduced in 1937. The beaver is shown perched on a rock, symbolizing industriousness and the natural heritage of Canada, with the word Canada above and the denomination 5 cents, along with the year 1974 below. The coin is composed of pure nickel, as Canada used nickel for its 5-cent coins from 1955 until 1981, giving it a silvery appearance and magnetic properties. It weighs approximately 4.54 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, with a plain, smooth edge rather than a reeded one. In terms of mintage, the 1974 Canadian 5-cent coin was produced in large quantities, over 150 million pieces, at the Royal Canadian Mint, meaning it is quite common and typically holds minimal numismatic value unless found in exceptional uncirculated condition or with rare mint errors. The mint responsible for its production is the Royal Canadian Mint, which is known worldwide for its high-quality coinage and innovative minting techniques. Historically, the 1970s were a period of economic change in Canada, marked by inflation and shifts in metal prices, but the nickel composition of the 5-cent coin remained consistent during this time. Collectors often appreciate this coin not for its rarity, but for its classic design and its place within the long-running series of Canadian nickels featuring the beaver motif and Queen Elizabeth II's portrait. In circulated condition, such a coin is generally worth only its face value, 5 cents, though pristine or uncirculated examples might fetch a small premium, typically under $1, depending on quality and demand. However, coins with unique minting errors, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or unusual surface features, can sometimes be more valuable to specialized collectors. Overall, the 1974 Canadian 5-cent coin represents a blend of tradition, national symbolism, and royal heritage, making it a modest yet meaningful piece of everyday currency that reflects both the identity of Canada and the enduring legacy of Queen Elizabeth II on Commonwealth coinage. The next top. The 1998 Canadian 5-cent coin bearing the inscription, Elizabeth II D.G Regina, is a small but historically rich piece of currency that reflects both Canada's constitutional monarchy and its long-standing coinage traditions. The Latin phrase D.G Regina stands for Dei Gratia Regina, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, a title used by Elizabeth II during her reign as Canada's monarch. On the obverse front of the coin, you'll find a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II created by Dora de Hunt, which was introduced in 1990 and used on Canadian coinage throughout the 1990s. This effigy shows the Queen in a more mature depiction compared to earlier portraits, wearing a diadem and facing right, with the surrounding inscription including her name and royal title. The reverse back of the coin features the iconic Canadian beaver, a design originally created by G. E. Kruger Gray in 1937. The beaver, perched on a rock, symbolizes industriousness and is a national emblem of Canada, deeply tied to the country's early fur trade economy. Above the beaver is the word Canada, and below it is the denomination 5 cents, along with the year 1998. In terms of physical specifications, the 1998 Canadian nickel, commonly called a nickel, is made of pure nickel, 99.9% nickel composition, unlike later issues which transitioned to plated steel. It weighs approximately 4.6 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, with a plain edge, no reading. The coin's metallic composition gives it a distinctive silver-gray appearance and magnetic properties, which were practical for vending machines and coin handling systems of the time. The Royal Canadian Mint, the issuing authority, produced these coins in large quantities for circulation, with a mintage in the tens of millions, meaning the coin is quite common and generally not rare in standard circulated condition. Because of this high mintage, most 1998 5-cent coins have minimal collector value unless they are in uncirculated condition, exhibit mint errors, or are part of a proof set issued by the Royal Canadian Mint. From a historical and numismatic perspective, the 1998 issue falls within a transitional era of Canadian coinage before significant changes in metal composition began in the early 2000s due to rising nickel costs. It also represents a period late in Queen Elizabeth II's reign when her image had become one of the most widely reproduced portraits in the world, appearing on coinage across numerous Commonwealth nations. Collectors often study such coins not just for their monetary value, but for variations in strike quality, luster, and preservation state. Coins graded by professional services such as MS, 65 or higher on the Sheldon scale can carry a modest premium, particularly if they exhibit strong detail in the Queen's hair and the beavers for texture. Additionally, some collectors look for Dei varieties or minor minting anomalies, though none widely recognized as rare varieties are specifically associated with the 1998 Canadian nickel. Culturally, the coin connects everyday Canadians to their national identity, combining British royal heritage with uniquely Canadian symbolism like the beaver. Even though it is a low-denomination coin, it reflects centuries of monetary evolution, from colonial currencies to a fully independent Canadian monetary system under the authority of the Bank of Canada and the Royal Canadian Mint. Today, while the 5-cent coin continues to circulate, coins like the 1998 issue are increasingly being set aside by collectors or found in coin rolls and old change jars, often sparking interest among beginner numismatists. In summary, the 1998 Elizabeth II D.G. Regina 5-cent coin is not rare, but holds enduring historical, cultural, and collectible significance, embodying Canada's monarchy, artistic heritage, and economic history in a small yet meaningful form. The next top. The coin inscribed Elizabeth II D.G. Regina 5 cents, 2009 Canada, is part of Canada's long-running 5-cent coin series, commonly known as the nickel, and it reflects both the country's constitutional monarchy and its numismatic traditions. The inscription, Elizabeth II D.G. Regina, refers to Elizabeth II, with D.G. standing for the Latin phrase Dei Gratia, meaning by the grace of God, and Regina, meaning queen. This legend appears on the obverse front of the coin, which features a portrait of the Queen created by Canadian artist Susanna Blunt. Introduced in 2003 and still used in 2009, this effigy is distinctive because it portrays the Queen without a crown, offering a more modern and realistic depiction compared to earlier crown portraits used on Canadian coinage. Surrounding the portrait is the abbreviated Latin inscription, emphasizing Canada's ties to the monarchy as a Commonwealth realm where the British monarch is also the Canadian head of state. On the reverse back side of the 2009 Canadian 5-cent coin is the iconic image of a beaver, designed by G. E. Kruger-Gray. The beaver has been a symbol of Canada since the 17th century, representing the country's early fur trade economy and natural heritage. This design has been used on Canadian nickels since 1937, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in the world. The reverse also includes the inscriptions Canada and 5 cents, along with the year 2009. The coin is round, has a smooth, plain edge, and is composed of nickel-plated steel in modern issues, including those from 2009. Prior to 1982, Canadian nickels were made of pure nickel, but rising metal costs led to changes in composition over time. By 2009, the Royal Canadian Mint had adopted multiply plated steel technology, giving the coin a magnetic property that distinguishes it from earlier issues. The coin has a diameter of approximately 21.2 millimeters and a weight of about 3.95 grams. Its metallic composition typically consists of a steel core plated with layers of nickel, making it durable and cost-effective to produce. The finish of the coin can vary depending on whether it is a standard circulation strike, a proof coin, or a special collector issue. Circulation coins generally have a more matte or satin appearance, while proof coins, often sold in collector sets by the Royal Canadian Mint, exhibit a mirror-like background with frosted design elements. In terms of mintage, the 2009 Canadian 5-cent coin was produced in large quantities for everyday use, as the denomination remains a standard part of Canada's currency system despite declining purchasing power. While exact mintage figures can vary depending on the source and whether collector versions are included, tens of millions of these coins were struck, meaning they are not rare in general circulation. As a result, their value is typically limited to face value, 5 cents, unless they are in uncirculated or proof condition, in which case they may carry a small premium among collectors. Coins with errors, unusual features, or exceptional preservation, graded as MS 65 or higher, can be more valuable in numismatic markets. Historically, the Canadian 5-cent coin has undergone several transformations. Early nickels, first introduced in 1858 under the Province of Canada, were smaller silver coins. By 1922, Canada transitioned to larger nickel coins due to the rising cost of silver, establishing the size and general form still used today. During World War II, the design temporarily changed to include a V for victory and was made of tombac, a copper-zinc alloy, to conserve nickel for the war effort. However, the beaver design returned in 1946 and has remained a national symbol ever since. The 2009 issue thus represents continuity in Canadian coinage, linking modern currency to decades of tradition. From a cultural perspective, the coin reflects Canada's dual identity as both an independent nation and a constitutional monarchy. The presence of Queen Elizabeth II underscores the country's political system, while the beaver symbolizes its natural resources and historical economy. The use of Latin inscriptions connects Canadian coinage to a broader European tradition of royal titulature, while the bilingual nature of Canadian society is subtly reflected in the coin's design conventions and official minting practices. Collectors often examine coins like the 2009 5-cent piece for details such as luster, strike quality, and any die variations. Although no major, widely recognized varieties are associated specifically with the 2009 issue, minor die chips or plating irregularities can occasionally be found. These are typically of interest only to specialized collectors. For most people, the coin serves as a familiar everyday object, but for numismatists, it represents a small piece of Canada's history, artistry, and economic evolution. Overall, the Elizabeth II D.G. Regina 5 cents 2009 Canada coin is a modern, widely circulated piece that combines historical symbolism, practical design, and national identity in a compact and enduring form the next top. The 2016 Canadian 5-cent coin bearing the inscription Elizabeth II D.G. Regina is part of Canada's long-running coinage tradition that reflects both its British monarchic heritage and its own national identity. The Latin phrase D.G. Regina stands for Dei Gratia Regina, meaning by the grace of God, Queen, referring to Elizabeth II, who was Canada's head of state at the time. On this coin's obverse front, her portrait is featured, specifically the effigy designed by Susanna Blunt, which has been used on Canadian coins since 2003 and is notable for depicting the Queen without a crown, a modern and distinctive artistic choice compared to earlier royal portraits. Surrounding the portrait is the inscription, Elizabeth II D.G. Regina, emphasizing the monarch's formal title in Latin. On the reverse, back, of the coin, the iconic image of the beaver appears, a symbol deeply connected to Canada's history, especially its early fur trade economy and national identity. The design was created by G. E. Kruger Gray and has been in use since 1937, making it one of the most enduring coin designs in Canadian currency. The beaver sits on a rock, surrounded by the inscriptions 5 cents and Canada, along with the year 2016. This continuity in design reflects Canada's respect for tradition while maintaining consistency in its circulating coinage. In terms of physical specifications, The 2016 Canadian 5-cent coin is made primarily of steel with a nickel plating, a change from earlier decades when Canadian nickels were composed mostly of pure nickel. The coin weighs approximately 3.95 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Its edge is smooth, plain, unlike coins such as quarters or dimes which have reeded edges. The shift to multiply plated steel technology was introduced by the Royal Canadian Mint to reduce production costs and improve durability while maintaining the coin's electromagnetic signature for vending machines. Historically, the Canadian 5-cent coin, commonly called a nickel, has existed since 1858, although its composition and size have evolved significantly over time. Early versions were made of silver and were much smaller, closer in size to today's dime. The larger nickel coin we recognize today was introduced in 1922 when Canada moved away from silver for this denomination. Over the decades, it has seen several temporary design changes, including wartime issues during World War II featuring a V for victory design, but the beaver motif has remained the most consistent and recognizable symbol. The 2016 issue itself was a standard circulation coin, meaning it was produced in large quantities for everyday transactions rather than as a special commemorative edition. As such, its numismatic collector value is generally close to its face value unless it is found in uncirculated condition, part of a special mint set, or contains a rare minting error. Collectors often examine coins like this for variations such as die cracks, off-center strikes, or unusual finishes, which can significantly increase value. Culturally, the presence of Elizabeth II on Canadian coinage underscores Canada's status as a constitutional monarchy within the Commonwealth. Even though Canada is an independent nation, the monarch remains a symbolic figurehead, and her image on coins serves as a reminder of that constitutional relationship. The use of Latin inscriptions and enduring symbols like the beaver reflects a blend of European tradition and uniquely Canadian heritage. In summary, the 2016 Canadian 5-cent coin with Elizabeth II D.G. Regina is not just a small piece of currency, but a compact representation of Canada's history, monarchy, artistry, and economic evolution. While it may appear ordinary in daily use, it carries layers of meaning, from its royal portrait and Latin inscription to its historic beaver design and modern steel composition, making it an interesting subject for both casual observers and serious coin collectors alike.